If this headline is true, it would be a stunning rebuke of the most powerful Catholic in East Tennessee. Vatican to ask Stika for resignation. It comes from the Pillar. It appeared first 2 weeks ago, a news source launched in 2021 by Canon lawyers focused on the church and, in their words, sober journalism. If true, this is an order that would come directly from the Pope. Tonight, 10 News looks into the new scrutiny and the future of Bishop Richard Stika, but we begin with his power.
Lord, have mercy.
Bishop Richard Stika controls a diocese in East Tennessee of more than 65,000 Catholics, overseeing upwards of 75 priests and 50 parishes.
My sisters and brothers, evil happens in a place where so often we least expect it to be.
The faithful have followed his lead since Pope Benedict XVI appointed the St. Louis native in 2009. During a 14-year reign across all aspects of the church, believers have listened intently to his genteel public persona and thoughtful lessons from the pulpit.
Because there's rumors and gossip and distortions.
But contrasts emerge of a defensive and disappointed bishop in recent secretly recorded meetings with priests about the state of the local diocese. 10 News obtained them from a source we agreed not to name.
Somebody, because of a lack of information or for whatever other reason, has lied to the people of this diocese.
In this gathering, the bishop defends the financial health of the church, pushing back on public criticism of the $34 million cost of an ornate cathedral, including $10 million in loans to help pay for it. The bishop refutes unnamed sources in news articles criticizing the diocese for mismanaging money and malfeasance.
And has insulted our finance people by saying things like malfeasance and bankruptcy. They've lied to people and they hurt every person, every priest in this diocese.
Throughout the early minutes of the meeting, the bishop and his team make a case for the financial stability and viability of the diocese.
We don't have the money, now we have the money, at least to me.
But the financial questions are just one of a string of cases putting the bishop on the defensive and facing new scrutiny.
I think that lay Catholics in Knoxville, like lay Catholics all over the country, priests all over the country, are paying attention to the actions of bishops and also the accountability of bishops.
Dr. Tricia Bruce is a sociologist, author, and most recently led a national study on the efforts by the Catholic Church to restore trust after widely reported abuse scandals across the country.
It's seen as a diocese that is growing, that in some ways is thriving.
Dr. Bruce has been active in the Knoxville Catholic community for some time and is now closely watching the drip of allegations from unnamed priests about tyrannical-like behavior from their boss, the bishop.
They are effectively whistleblowers too, because they know and they potentially have access to knowledge and information that others don't when there are problems that might arise.
Two national publications, the National Catholic Reporter and The Pillar, started by Canon lawyers, have both published a series of articles tied to internal complaints, including a letter signed by almost a dozen priests sent to the Vatican critical of the bishop's authoritarian style. In their words, a disparaging and depressed state of affairs, including reassigning priests to new jobs as a form of punishment.
That process is so important to suss out who's saying what it means, and what evidence there is to back it up.
And more dissent from the diocese includes the perceived support from the bishop for a seminarian accused of rape. A man who, despite facing inquiries from inside and outside the church, lived with the bishop and joined him on a trip to the Vatican. A civil lawsuit filed against the church in this case is set to go before a judge late this week. That case, coupled with a new trove of documents shared online, pull back a veil of secrecy at the diocese, offering a glimpse of the frustration in email exchanges and letters from priests about the man who controls their future.
You know, I think it's one of those things where there's a slow burn until all of a sudden it boils over. So, and the difficult thing about, as much as we talk about transparency, there's often not a lot of transparency, and for some good reason, right? There are conversations about allegations and reputation and the unfairness of a reputation being spoiled unjustly.
The bishop's own health at age 65 is of concern. Type 1 diabetes and persistent heart trouble, a personal struggle mirroring the ongoing revelations about internal strife within the Knoxville diocese and calls for a change at the top, a change that ultimately rests in the hands of the Pope. We have seen a tendency by the Catholic Church to move leaders facing scrutiny into other posts. In this case, the Knoxville diocese is the smallest in the country by percentage of Catholics, so moving Bishop Stika into a similar role anywhere else would be viewed as a promotion. You can find more of our reporting right now at WBIR.com.